Have you ever wondered what it's like to fly Air China? Then join me on my 7.5-hour economy class flight on the Air China Airbus A330-300. In this video, I fly to mainland China for the very first time. We get to experience the good and the bad of Air China, and we see what it's like to have a layover in Beijing Capital Airport. Alright, so I gotta be straightforward and honest with you guys. This is not going to be a very positive review as you would normally have on my channel, but you will see that in the rest of the video. So my journey started right here at Jakarta International Airport, and I booked this flight through Lufthansa with a code sharing program. And this is the way for me to get like these exotic flights. I just take a flight from Lufthansa, and they usually give you the options to have exotic airlines to other destinations as a layover. And there it is, our airplane of today, the 12-year-old Airbus A330-300, delivered new to Air China in 2014. Alright, so I'm going to China for the very first time in my life. Alright, so there was a little mess up with the Lufthansa app, which showed me that I was actually put into business class, which of course I was very happy with. But it turned out to be a problem with the app itself. I was not in business class. And when I was checking in, I was confronted that I'm in economy class, which of course was fine because I had an economy class ticket and not business class. So I asked the lady at the counter to put me in a window seat, and she said that is no problem, and she put me into a window seat. And then I got in the plane and I didn't have a window. I mean, I was on the right side of the plane, but there was no window. So I really was not happy, of course. So naturally, I asked the cabin crew if there was a possibility to change seats. But because this flight was fully booked, this was not the case. So I just had to stay in this seat.
和所有凤凰之音贵宾再次相见，并欢迎更多旅客通过下载中国国航 app。
So this was actually my first time flying a Chinese airline, and the first thing that I saw is that they take rules very, very seriously. It's a lot more strict than a lot of other Asian airlines, and they take rules very, very seriously. You'll see that throughout the flight. Alright, so after a smooth takeoff from Jakarta International Airport, we were climbing to cruising altitude, which took us around 40 minutes. And according to Chinese air regulation, you're not allowed to leave the seat or to even loosen the seatbelt if you are not yet at cruising altitude. So if you fly a Chinese airline, then make sure to have a pee before you take off because it's going to take a while. But after 40 minutes, we finally got served a drink in the flight, and I, of course, needed to try a Chinese beer, which was very nice. And also the cabin lights from now on were dimmed, which was also nice, because this was a night flight. So the Air China in-flight entertainment system was nice to have. It was a little bit outdated. It was very sluggish. And also the variety of movies was kind of limited, but it was still nice to have, and you got a decent pair of headphones. So for me, the seats on the Air China A330 were not very comfortable. I'm 1 meters and 80 centimeters, and I was not having a very comfortable seating position. It might be due to other heights of the average person, but for me it wasn't comfortable. The toilet in the Air China Airbus A330 was pretty simple but clean, so that's good enough. So after some well-deserved sleep, we got served the breakfast of the flight, and I chose the Western breakfast with some croissant and some omelette. And some sausages, and it looked like it was made out of plastic, and it also tasted like that. The quality of the food, at least for the breakfast, was really not on par of what I'm used to when flying Asian airlines. But I have to say the coffee was very nice. So another thing that you should keep in mind if you book a flight on Air China is that generally speaking, the crew on the flight does not speak English very well. They know the basics. You can have a super basic conversation with the crew, but a lot of times they don't understand what you say in English, and it can sometimes be a little bit hard to communicate with. And now we're almost at the very end of our flight, and here we have again the very strict rules that from 30,000 feet and below, you should wear your seatbelt and you're not allowed to move again in the plane, which means that for almost an hour you're not able to go to the toilet or to do anything else than sit in your seat. Which is also something that you should be aware of when you fly a Chinese airline. And don't get me wrong, I'm all about safety, and flying especially should be as safe as can be. But this is just something that is very different from flying European or other Asian airlines. So therefore, I think it is very important to be noted. Welcome to Beijing Capital Airport, one of the two airports of one of the largest cities of China.
Local time in Beijing is 9:50 a.m. on Sunday. The outside temperature is 17 degrees Celsius or 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Kindly remain seated with your seatbelt fastened and make sure that the handbag is stored properly. Until the signal sign goes off, please be careful when opening the overhead compartments as the item inside may fall out. If your destination is Beijing, please clear check baggage and please.
Alright, so what exactly is it like to fly Air China on the Airbus A330? Well, I have to be honest, this was one of my least favorite flights. Not only because I didn't have a window seat, but just because the flight itself was not very comfortable. The seat for me was really not a comfortable thing to be in, which is a first on a flight. And also the service of Air China has left me a lot to be desired. One thing was that they also didn't pick up any trash from the breakfast. It really took a very, very long time to get it all cleaned. The food itself was really very underwhelming. And also I wasn't really able to communicate with the crew that well because their English was not very good. So all in all, I find it a little hard to recommend Air China if you're really looking for a flight. But I have to say they are relatively cheap if you compare it to other Asian airlines. So that could be a choice that you could make. But just keep in mind that this is not the most comfortable flight you'll be in. Alright, so now onto Beijing Capital Airport. Let's see what it's like to have a layover here. And let's start off with the security, because even if you have a layover, you should pass through security 2 or 3 times. And it is one of the most intense security checks that I've had so far. I literally had to put everything from my bag on the check table, and also power banks are checked if they are allowed in China. So make sure to do your homework before you travel here. Alright, so in order to get free Wi-Fi, you should put your passport in a special machine, which gives you a temporary code to log into the Wi-Fi. But also you should be warned that a lot of your normal apps don't work because you have the Great Firewall of China, which blocks apps like WhatsApp or Facebook and Instagram. So that generally doesn't work. Alright, so after having a relatively short layover, it was now time for me to start boarding the Lufthansa Airbus A350. And if you want to see that video, it is already online on my channel. You can find it right here. With that being said, thank you guys for watching and see you guys in the next one. Ciao!